Welcome everyone. My name is Ruan Stannard and I'm one of the enrollment advisors on the LSE Data Analytics Career Accelerator program. I'm so glad that you guys can join us today. Before we jump into the AMA event with one of our amazing graduates, I want to quickly share with you guys what the program is going to be all about. So at LSE, in partnership with Thrive, we're here to equip you with all of the skills that you need to thrive in today's fast and also to have a look at the world moving forward as well. So whether you're looking to shift your careers or whether you're looking to move into data full time, well, our Career Accelerator program is definitely designed to give you the practical experience in the work with industry leaders to make sure that you can make a success of your career moving forward. You will benefit from tailored career coaching, build a portfolio of evidence to showcase to potential employers, and earn a prestigious LSE certification as well. We'll also focus on industry-relevant tools like Excel, SQL, Python, Tableau, GitHub, and R. And you'll also get some exposure to AI as well. As we all know, the world is currently moving more towards AI. So this program is going to give you everything that you need to succeed as a data analyst. There's no prior coding experience needed. And today we will be chatting to John, one of our recent graduates, and we'll have a look at his journey, what he did to overcome, and just how the program helped him to achieve his career outcomes. So let's get things started. John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thanks, Ron. Yeah. Nice to see you all, guys. I'm John. Like Ron said, I graduated in April now, so a little bit of time, and started my new role at the start of August. So yeah, looking forward to speaking to you all.
Thank you so much for sharing, John. John, I wanted to ask you one thing. What initially sparked your interest in studying data analytics? I mean, you were a teacher working in Japan and you moved to the UK to become a data analyst. Walk us through that process.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think it came from a kind of desire to have a career that just had more longevity. I think as a teacher and ski instructor, my next path down that line would have been maybe like owning a school or managing in that sense, which is not really something I wanted to do. So yeah, I looked more broadly and kind of looked at the skills I had and some past experience with data. And landed on data analysis as a path, and kind of then started trying things and looking for a path through into that, and found myself here.
That's definitely an interesting journey. And how did you come across this program specifically? What drew you to it?
So I think I just searched for a whole range of different courses. So I actually completed one on Google through Coursera, like a sort of generic data analytics course, just because it's kind of low commitment. It doesn't cost much money. It's quite a good course, but I wanted something that really held a lot of weight, and I could really sort of stand behind in applying for new jobs and taking it forward. So yeah, it just came out of a search really, and I think it just came up and kind of looked into it more. And I believe I spoke to a few of the course guides via email and had a good chat then. And that was maybe actually about a year before I started the course. So yeah, it was quite a long process of really committing onto it because it's a big decision. So but yeah, it was really just from a broad kind of search and finding the best thing that would suit me.
And John, I think the audience would love to know what kind of challenges did you experience, especially making such a big career shift?
Yeah, well, many. Where can I start? But yeah, like for me, coming from a background that wasn't really I didn't have much corporate experience for a start. So I had a background coming from university. I did some work in sports analytics. So I worked for a rugby team in their performance analysis section. So, pulling stats and providing details for the coaches to use in their day-to-day work with the players. So I had a kind of baseline background in data, and I had some exposure to it. But that's going back maybe like 10 years ago or so. So, it was a big gap. And it took quite a lot of learning of not just the data side, but the corporate side as well. Like, we're in the role where we're constantly answering business questions that relevant to whatever you're working for. So, yeah, that was a big challenge for me to not just get the data skills and the coding and all the tech that's involved, but to really kind of learn how to focus and apply that into these business problems.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So we know that everyone is quite unique. And while we do recommend about 15 to 20 hours of study time, how did you manage to juggle your study time with your other commitments, especially with this big move that you had?
Yeah, I mean, there's periods where that fluctuates, I think, for me. Like it's not 100% of the time you're expected to hit the upper kind of echelon of that. It's so different modules and different aspects of it take more or less time depending on your background, I suppose. Like for me, I think I probably pushed more than that because, like I said, I had to kind of bridge that corporate culture as well. And um so yeah, for me it took a little bit more time perhaps, but my kind of work schedule through that was part-time for maybe 2 months at the start of the course, and then I went into the winter where I teach skiing, so that was full time and very full on. But fortunately, it's a very different kind of commitment you have to do, like out on a mountain all day and then learning data by night. It's a lot easier to balance than I think being on a computer all day, working in that sense. So even though the time pressure was high and it took a lot of work during that time when I'm working full time, um, there's people to help you through it, and there's a plan that we put in place that was really useful with my success manager, that you can stick to a schedule and you can work through and talk about these kind of undulations through the commitment you have to have for such a long course. Excuse me. So yeah, for me it was periods time were harder than others, but that kind of time commitment was probably on the upper end for me the whole time, I'd imagine.
Okay. So John, you had this big goal to become a data analyst by June 2024. What did you do to stay motivated and keep on track with this journey that you were on?
Um, I think it's I quite enjoyed this about the course. Like when you start, you're obviously really passionate. You want to kind of jump into the data, but there was a good period where we kind of ramped up into it a bit, I think, where a lot of focus was on that kind of reflection and building a goal that actually made sense to me and something you can hold accountable to. So, going through that process that at times felt difficult because there's a huge amount of self-reflection, so you dig deep and sometimes you find things that you might not have expected, but um yeah, getting that and having that as a kind of bottom line accountability really helped. But I think there's times on the course where it's pushed so far in the background that there's so much to do in terms of learning the content and uh you know different lectures and projects and things, that it's just sort of hovers in the background a little bit, I think. But I think if I hadn't done that work at the start of the course to really, make that a tangible thing, then you don't have that end goal and that sort of, generating your self-belief that you can get there. That was a big part of it for me, I think, being able to truly believe that I'm going to reach that goal. And, that took a bit of work. And that's why a career coach that we have through the course was just instrumental in that. So, yeah, no, I think just having that goal and being the one to have created it in such depth, yeah, that's what keeps you through in times with a bit harder.
Mm, thank you for sharing. And if you can just walk us through in what ways the program actually helped you to achieve your goal then.
Um, well, yeah, in essentially every way, but yeah, like I said, the kind of the easing into the course was quite important because it's a big step and lots of money and time commitment. Yeah, but having that kind of structure towards the beginning was really useful. But yeah, I think they're just the sort of breadth of expertise that you can tap into is amazing. Like from the research side, all the lectures and the LSE side, and on a practical level from our kind of weekly lectures. All of that is really expertise that I don't think you could find anywhere else, and it's just grouped into one place. So I think the course as a whole, um, and that'll be important more or less for other people. If you're quite confident you're in a career already that's progressed really well, but you just want to kind of divert it into data. Perhaps you don't need quite as much of the same coaching that I benefited from. But I think the fact that all of it is there and available, you just need to take as much or as little as what's offered that you need, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. You touched on the practicality aspect of it, and tell me, for those in the audience that doesn't know this, one of the cornerstones of the program is project-based learning. How do you think that put you onto an advantage moving forward, actually having that kind of practical experience?
I mean, that you're right. That was a huge part of it, and I think it's probably the reason why I got through the job interview process. Like having that sort of tangible evidence and just going through an end-to-end process on a project and drawing up business problems and finding the right tools to use for that problem, and building that kind of narrative to a conclusion is something I could really talk about in my job interview. And I could show from a portfolio side of things that this is actually what we've been through, and they're so relevant and applicable to, I think, all industries. Even though I'm now working in the leisure industry, working in for the Bank of England, which I did for a project, can really speak to that process of going through a whole project. And I think it's essentially what I've been doing in the job so far. I'm now 6 weeks in, and I've nearly completed one project that just felt exactly like the course. It's really, what's the word? Really, really kind of shows that how accurate and genuine the projects are, because it's been very, very similar since I started the job. So yeah, all of that really put me in good stead for that kind of interview process and now being in the job.
And I think just having that kind of practical experience, obviously, when it comes to interviews, it also gives you a lot of confidence as well. You touched on the employer project with Bank of England. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What did that entail?
Yeah, so that was, for me, that was my favorite part of the course, I think. Like, I'm a teacher, so I should say I was a teacher. Sorry. So, my instinct is to help people and be part of somebody else's journey and kind of offer what I know to somebody else. So working as a group was a nice pivot towards the end of the course, where a lot's been focused on your own learning and completing projects yourself. So yeah, it's a group project that we were assigned to the Bank of England. So yeah, for those not in the UK, that's the central bank here in England. And so we're in a team of 6, I think. Setting up meetings with them and finding out what they wanted from the conclusion of the project, where they want to see at the end of it, and then really just totally handing the reins over to us with a team lead to kind of create the problems, delve into how we might solve them, keep them updated on the progress. So it was really, the support was there, but it was really, the emphasis was on us to make of it what we could. So our specific project was natural language processing project. So taking speeches that the Bank of England put out, analyzing that for sentiment and seeing whether it has the effect that they're trying to put out, essentially. So yeah, really interesting project. Great to hear the feedback from people like data science team in the Bank of England, and getting the validation off of that was yeah, a really highlight of the course for me, I think.
And I just think having a name of someone like Bank of England on your practical portfolio as well, the influence that must have had, sitting in job interviews, having that kind of something on your CV, on your portfolio, definitely making a very big impact. And if we move closer towards the end of the program, can you share with us your journey after program completion until employment? How did that look like?
Yeah, sorry, perhaps just jumping back to the last little bit. I think that's such a good point that, I sat in our chief executive office introducing myself and trying to put out what value I'm going to bring to the company, and having like LSE and Bank of England as a name to it was really important for them, I think. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to point that out. Sorry, go for it again. What was the question? Sorry.
No, I was just asking about your journey after the completion of the program
Yes, that's
until
it. Yeah.
employment. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, graduated in April. And a lot of the time spent after that was like assembling materials, assembling the portfolio, kind of reflecting on what I've learned. And as I spoke with my career coach, working out how to position myself to the market. So, we've got all these skills now. What do they mean to me? How do they reflect on what I can offer a company kind of outside of the data skills? How I can kind of build that narrative about myself, which, yeah, again, not something I find particularly easy. Perhaps some people do, but maybe not everyone. Yeah, to be able to have that self-belief and call yourself a data analyst. I think that was such a fundamental switch at some point where you have to start. I slipped into it earlier, didn't I? I call myself a teacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm a data analyst. But yeah, you have to believe that you are a data analyst, and getting through the course and graduating, and I was fortunate to do really well on the course. You are a data analyst when you come off the course. You absolutely are. You've done projects that, like I said earlier, are completely what I've done since taking the job. So yeah, a lot of that time was spent getting materials together, iterating over LinkedIn profiles, and how to bring myself to market, as my career coach Tracy would say. So and it's not always easy. Like Ruan said, my goal at the start was to be a data analyst by June 24. So I missed it by a couple of months, and that can weigh on you. When it got through to July, and thinking, have I made the right decision? And, all those doubts kind of creep in a little bit, but the after course support was really what managed to get me that job. I think, it's not just you graduate, good for you, get on with it kind of thing. It was almost kind of more intense after the course finished, because, during the course, you have all your content and the things you have to do day by day, week by week. But yeah, as soon as you have finished, it almost feels a bit open, but that's when the support really came into its own, I think. And we had group sessions where we'd compare progress and talk about wins we'd had, about contacting recruiters, or, anything that might be positive. And so that was a really nice atmosphere to know that process, you're not just alone and into the job market now and crack on. So yeah, that was me for a few months, and yeah.
Seems like quite a journey, and it seems like you also had a lot of support along your journey as well. One of the lines that we enrollment advisors like to use is that the program basically takes you from little to no knowledge to be job ready. And coming from a teaching background into data analytics, how true would you say that is?
I mean, for speaking for myself, yeah, 100%. I had a little bit of experience like we spoke about before, but really in terms of a modern data analyst, I could call it next to nothing really. Like you know, in terms of the soft skills I had, which are some things that um it's easy to overlook, and the process of being a data analyst was something I have. You know, as a teacher, um you listen to people, understand their problems, find solutions for them, present it back to them, and you know that process of being a data analyst was ingrained in me, even if I didn't explicitly know it. But yeah, it's the culmination of everything else that takes you there, I think, really. Yeah.
Great. And you also touched on working together with your career coach, Tracy. If you can just tell the audience a little bit more, because I think they're dying to know, what does the career coaching involve exactly?
Um, yeah. And I'd imagine this would be different for different people, but you know, for me, and I think that's their skill as coaches, right? They're
Mm,
um being able to adapt their process for
mm,
the person that's in front of them. So for me, I really needed um quite a lot of self-belief instilled into me, I think. Um and just a kind of organization of my own skills that I picked up from teaching, ski instructing, whatever that I've done before,
mm,
and you know the links you can make from the past into the future. So just having someone who just kind of exudes that expertise really helped yeah kind of get me over the line, so to speak. But yeah, in terms of the practicalities, you can book sessions anytime you like, really, but you know they recommend a kind of time frame to book them, or in between modules it tended to be quite a kind of common time. So you'd finish the first module and speak to your career coach and kind of update and think what
mm,
the next plan is. I tend my plan was to kind of push them towards the end a little bit more, just because I felt like I needed the time to get through the content and to learn the skills. Um, and you know, it turned out well, so I can't be too critical, but I think I could have done
mm,
more earlier in that sense, and it might have taken me a bit less time to get a job, perhaps. But you know, starting things and building them over time means it's not quite as much of a job after the course, I think. So, yeah, lots of one-on-one chat with Tracy and kind of coaching on how to um, yeah, how to approach some of the problems, and some lots of advice on how to navigate the market and things like that, really.
right. And I assume we have a lot of prospective students here in the audience as well. So looking back, what do you wish that you knew before starting the program?
Um, I wish I knew. I think, to be honest, it's hard to answer because I think I was prepared pretty well for what
Mm,
was to come. You know, nothing really shocked me through the course. You know, there were bits that it was harder than I even thought it would be, in terms of you know, you sit at a screen and it's 9 o'clock, you're knackered, and you're trying to sort of read something that's so complex. It, you know,
mm,
so down to that granular level, yeah, that thing,
mm.
those kind of things are hard. But to be honest, yeah, nothing is my answer to that, really. Like that's the,
Uh,
you know, I'd
mm,
like to think of something and flounder a bit less than I am on that question. But yeah, to be honest, everything was very clear and
mm,
upfront, and
mm,
yeah, it went the way I'd hoped. So yeah, no, it's all good.
kudos to your enrollment advisor, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, you'll have to yeah, relay that
Kudos
back
to
to
your,
her. Yeah.
yes, no, definitely. Part of our role as enrollment advisors is really to give you all the information that you need and to prepare you. We send you guys the upfront reading material as well to make sure that you can undertake this journey. And talking about the journey itself, what do you think was the most challenging part of your journey, and what did you do to overcome that?
Like on a technical side, getting my head around Python was tough because I'd not looked at it at all. So you know, my brief background in data was more just Excel, kind of pulling simple stats and that side of things. And my ski school, when working for, I kind of volunteered into a few data projects. So I'd looked at sales figures and tried to do an analysis on products, for example. Just me trying to push myself into a role of data analyst, but again, that it was mostly Excel based and a few little bits that I picked up from the Google course I mentioned earlier that I did. But yeah, Python was hard. There's no two ways about it. It's hard, but you know, you just at that point when it's introduced, you've got a project behind you already. So I had that confidence that you know, I could take something from end to end and get a good result on it and get that feeling of finding some insights and presenting them back and you know, so I was kind of in the zone by then already. But I mean, it coincided with the time I was busiest at work as well. So, you know, there's something to speak to on that as well. But yeah, I think the ability to speak directly to our facilitators, which are as a role, the people who have the practical knowledge of you know, Nora was our is it called facilitator? Am I right in saying that?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just suddenly doubted myself. But yeah, so she delivers lectures and we can be in the session and ask her directly anything that's challenging. And it depends how you learn best. That I found it was really good to listen to that twice. So everything's recorded, so you can go back to it. Certain times I'd work through the content, get through as much as I could, and then be in the live session asking questions that I could get answers to. But other times workflows mean that you can't be in that live session, and then you've got the option of speaking to someone one-on-one, which was fantastic. So, you know, I'd watch the recording, do my work, and then anything that came up, I could book a session with either head facilitator or other people who are there as well. So however you study best and learn best, there was always somebody I could ask, or there was always some information that I could gather at any point. So yeah, that changed depending on different times in the course, but yeah, it was nice to have that option to speak to someone if you really need that kind of one-to-one explanation and you can't read the same paragraph again for the fifth time. So yeah.
I think that's definitely something that differentiates. Now I'm mumbling my words. Something that differentiates the course from other programs is that kind of one-on-one support that you receive as well, especially having sometimes to start from scratch and then progressing to a more advanced level, just having that kind of one-on-one support as well. Did you have like any great triumphs throughout the program, like a eureka or a aha moment, just something like that during the program?
I mean, many. Yeah, yeah. But some kind of big moment maybe. I think maybe one of the first, so we used Tableau a lot in the first module, and kind of when you pull that together and your narrative that you're trying to sell suddenly clicks into gear, and you realize you've stared at the data and pored over it and looked at different kind of avenues to go down, and then suddenly you realize like, oh, that's exactly where I need to take it, and that's how I can describe it. I think that was something that was really rewarding because, you know, you've put the effort in and then suddenly it all comes together. And I could pick moments like that in the following projects that, yeah, there's a little kind of just a shift in your thinking, or something pops out of you that you really understand exactly what you need to do. So yeah, we worked with NHS data for the second project, and a similar kind of thing came up there where I suddenly realized, oh, all right, that's what I need to do. And yeah, it is taking those wins when they come. Because yeah, there's many times when it's not quite as successful as that. So yeah.
And you touched on this a little bit earlier after the completion of the program, how you connected with other learners and you have like some kind of support group on the way. Can you just share a little bit more about your relationship with your fellow learners and how did that support you throughout the program?
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's a good one. So there's a platform, I believe it's changed now. Where something circle now, isn't it? Is that right? Are you with me? Do you know what I'm talking about? The um learner platform that we talk
Oh, the
on.
virtual learning environment.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It changed right towards the end of the course, so
Mm,
I can't quite remember what it's called. But yeah, essentially there's an environment that
mm,
um it kind of looks a bit like a sort of Facebook structure, I suppose, like a Facebook group structure. So lots of the interaction on there was, fundamental to um the progress of different aspects of the modules because there were plenty of people who had more expertise and more experience and just different strengths that and it was quite vibrant. People would post quite a lot. Oh, I found this solution for this. Have you tried doing that? And people were really good at offering their time and expertise to help. I'm someone who doesn't seek help enough. So I tend to like internalize and
mm,
sort of like, oh, I've got to do this myself. But
mm,
um, having that option available to sort of extend out and really ask for help, that was really good. And there was lots of collaboration and communication on there. Um, Also, a lot of the tasks rely on you looking at something, interpreting it, and then sort of presenting that back on a kind of sort of forum base, and you're encouraged to comment on others. And I felt that worked really well because people were quite genuine and they actually commented and gave you feedback, and that was nice. And part of the assessments as well, there's an element
mm,
of peer feedback and speaking to each other about how you interpreted something, or whatever the problem is, just a little bit of yeah, peer-to-peer feedback. So that was for the main part of the course. And then beyond that, when the group project came, you're in your group and you can
mm.
you know communicate and speak all the time about different things. So yeah, during the main bulk of the course, there's different ways to communicate, and um, yeah, lots of people did, so that was nice.
Thank you. It's actually quite interesting how you mentioned like the little Facebook group and so on. So, John, tell me what's next for you in data analytics? How does your journey look like from here on moving forward?
Yeah, so I've been just over a month in the job now. I'm really lucky to be in a position and a company who sort of value further training and development. So I work in the leisure industry for a charitable social enterprise. So we run leisure centers, libraries, and a few different things like that. So it's an area where they're quite focused on bringing social value and not just the bottom line in terms of finance, but what other value can you add? And that kind of runs through the company, it feels like,
Mm,
and they're really quite keen to develop people on. And lots of people have stayed at the company a long time, which is always, quite a good thing to see. So yeah, for me, I think it's more learning, more development. It's a role that you can't sit still in, and I'm aware that I think at the moment in this kind of role, you need to be pushing forward and developing as much as you can because there'll be bits of it that get hoovered up in automated processes that um yeah, it will come. And it's for me, um in my particular role now, it's really trying to find the subject knowledge and be able to
mm,
apply all these skills I have in data, and be useful for the company in that sense. But that would be true in any kind of job. But specifically data, I'm looking to push more into data science, and demand modeling is a big part of our industry. So finding ways to that predictive, prescriptive part of the
mm,
analytics. Yeah, and just keep improving. I think you get set on a path in this course where learning new stuff is just addictive. Like it's really yeah, it's just a joy to learn about
Mm.
this kind of industry and all the capabilities. We're right on a precipice of some really exciting things. So yeah, more of that, more of the same.
And you've had this like unique journey, and what advice would you give to prospective students that is potentially looking at the career switch? They don't have a strong background in coding or data. What kind of advice would you give to them?
I mean, it sounds corny, but like self-belief is a huge part of it. You know, it's quite
Mm,
an accessible job, I think, if you have the commitment and you have the belief. And like I found with this course, you have the structure to take you there.
mm,
Um, yeah, just don't give up. Essentially, it took me probably just over 2 years from deciding to
mm,
move into data and without a grand plan or anything like that, but just knowing that I needed something else to then getting a job. 2 years is a long time, and many people perhaps get 6 months in and think, oh, it's just too big a job. I can't get there. So
mm,
um, I think if you know that this is what you want to do and you've maybe got kind of 6 months into that
mm,
journey, like I was, um, by then if you want to do this job. I think like for me, I had some history in it, so there was that too. But um, yeah, do as much self-learning as you can before you decide to commit to a course like this, and really give yourself a chance to absorb some of the information that's out there. There's huge amounts of resources you can just
mm,
crack on and sort of see if this path really is for you. But once you've decided that, yeah, just keep going until you find yourself in a job. Like, it's as simple as that. It sounds
mm,
stupid, but it really is an accessible role, I think, if you've got the right
mm,
mindset, I think, and the right kind of that curious mindset, that problem solving mindset. Those things are really just essential to the role. And if
mm.
that's you, then it's just really about how much commitment you can add to it, and how much um yeah, much time you can keep pushing. Even if it takes you 3 years, that's fine.
Mm.
It's going to be different for different people, but yeah, having that kind of motivation to keep going and know that there's something really exciting on the other end of it is what kept me going. So yeah.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I quickly want to just give a little bit of attention to some of the audience's questions here.
Yeah, let's
So
have a look. Yeah.
I'll take this first one. So this question asked, are there many data analyst jobs out there? So in the UK, currently we have about 24,000 vacancies for data analysts in the UK alone. So there's quite a very big demand for data analysts.
Mhm.
It's also the kind of skill set that you can use in a lot of different industries as well. Um, Different parts of the world are definitely moving more towards data and seeing the impact that data has in decision making as well. So, John, here's one for you. Someone asked you they would love to learn more about your role, what you do on a day-to-day basis, and how did the Career Accelerator program set you up for success in your current role?
Yeah, no, good question. Yeah. So yeah, like I was saying, we're a leisure social enterprise. A bit of a mouthful, but so day to day, I sit in the business intelligence team.
Mm,
So we're in the head office. There's about 300 or so employees at the head office, and then tens of thousands across the whole country, which includes like swimming coaches, all different people who work in the centers. Um, but yeah, my role, that we're in a team of four,
mm,
which sounds really small for the size of that organization, and I think I think it is. But yeah, so far on the course we learnt Tableau as a BI tool, so the
mm,
visualization tool. But the company uses Microsoft, so their Power BI SQL Server is the warehouse tool they have. So
mm,
quite a lot of what I've done so far has been adapting to that. So it's the same process, but different nuances and kind of how to get the best out of those software. So a lot of my work so far has been based in that. I've nearly finished two dashboard projects. One, it was looking at Google Analytics. We've got a lot of data coming in from Google Analytics that's not really been fully utilized yet. So the last couple of weeks, I've been working with the marketing team to find the best way to pull in that data and kind of consulting with them to show them what they want to see. And so a huge part of it is communication, and it's what's been rewarding for me coming from teaching, ski instructing. That was part of my job anyway, meeting people, speaking to people, setting expectations, all that sort of stuff has been really, really important for the job so far. So, you meet somebody who's a marketing manager, and we've got to bridge a gap between what they want to see, what we can offer, what data we have. All those kind of things are the biggest part of what I've been doing so far, really. And then you kind of put that to one side and you just start cracking on with the ingestion of data, planning what the dashboards are going to look like, iterating all the time. So I think that it's a nice balance between speaking with people and having that interaction and understanding what people want and what you can offer, and then parking that and having a bit of me time and getting on with the actual analysis. So yeah, that's been really fun. What else have we been doing so far? Yeah, like I was speaking a little bit about earlier, we do a lot on kind of social value and integration. So we've got a tool where we look at how much social value we're creating for the communities. So you have to kind of put in different constraints and different variables, and it kind of spits out how much impact you're having. So a lot of it is reporting on that, but it's a really exciting time in the company because they've only put this architecture in place over the last year and a half, 2 years maybe, and they're going through this transformation, and I'm kind of joining maybe halfway through. So there's a lot of change, and that brings its difficulties because everybody's in a state of flux. So it's not just me coming into the company like not knowing what's going on, but so it's kind of a relief in that sense because there's a lot of upheaval anyway. So I don't feel like too under pressure to know everything. But yeah, so lots of Power BI so far, really.
Just another question from the audience here. I think I will take this one just to give you a little bit of a breather there.
Sure.
But anyway, someone asked here, what are the tools that we will use? So the main tools that we focus on is going to be Excel, SQL, Python, Tableau, GitHub, or we also added an AI and data analytics track to the program as well. So you will learn AI fundamentals, transformers, GPT models. You'll get some hands-on experience to generate and visualize synthetic data. So this track is also going to give you all of the latest AI insights to make sure that you are ready for the future as an AI literate analyst. And I think just having that, future-proofing yourself and being able to put yourself out there as an AI literate analyst is definitely one of the big advantages. So I've got another one for you here, John. So someone asked you, does the course give you deep knowledge or just basic knowledge about data analytics?
I mean, that is somewhat relative to what you know already, perhaps, but I think data, I mean, there's limitless directions you can go, really. But for my role and what I'm expected to do, the fundamentals of like my knowledge and how I need to apply them, I've learned everything I need to know, I think. And that's not to say that I know how to code from scratch or anything like that. It's not the case, and it's not expected to be that way. But in terms of the processes and what I need to think about to get a problem from ideation into completion or, output. All of that is there from the course, 100%. It's, you in total ran through 4 projects where I've had to think about it in a variety of different ways, and it held me in really good stead for these issues I'm having. It's when you get into the sort of details of a project, naturally there's going to be content specific stuff that is a different kind of factor perhaps, but yeah, in terms of knowing what I need to do and how to approach it and that kind of framework of being a data analyst, yeah, 100% prepared and more, I think, for what I'm doing at the moment.
Okay, great. I think the next 2 questions, I'm just going to group them together because they're kind of asking the same thing. So one person asked if a high school degree is enough to move into data analytics, and the other person asked if they do have no experience, can they join the program? So if we have a look at the 3 groups of people that we do cater for, so it's either for career starters, people looking to get their career started in data analytics. We also cater for career changers, people much like yourself, John, coming from a different field into the field of data analysis. And then we also cater for what we call career advancers, people already working in the field looking for a potential promotion or a higher paying role. So in a nutshell, what that basically means is that the program does a very good job to make sure that all the fundamentals are in place before it moves on to a more executive level. Like I've mentioned before, you remember that part that I said, taking you from little to no knowledge to be job ready. And then just having a look at the experience. So there's basically 3 pathways to gain access to the program. So we will have a look and see which one is going to suit you best. So it's either a bachelor's degree with some kind of quantitative studies. Maybe you did some economics, finance, statistics, mathematics, research. The other thing that we are also going to have a look at is at least 3 years of working experience in dealing with data. But for those of you that don't have a bachelor's degree, you don't have any experience, we do have a technical assessment that you can take. So if you are able to pass a technical assessment, you score at least 50%, you can still gain access to the program as well. Okay. So let's see. Here's another one for you, John. How difficult was it in landing a job after the completion of the program? You shared a little bit about that earlier as well.
Yeah, it was difficult, definitely. But I think my experience and speaking with others on the course and comparing backgrounds from those people, I would say I come from a percentage of the intake or the cohort that it would be harder to get a job from. That I would say, like, it's yes, I had lots of experience in different industries, but based on the fact that I didn't have any corporate experience really coming into it, no real history of working with data in terms of my job. That side of things made it more difficult to pinpoint exactly how I should, where I should look to get a job, I think. But yeah, as soon as you work with your career coach and you kind of make a plan of action, no matter what your background is, if you've gone through the course and you've enjoyed it and been successful with it, you're going to find somewhere and you're going to find some kind of way into it. So I can't speak to anyone else's background really, but it's for me, I was nervous about finding a job just because that lack of experience in this kind of world. But it's I think it was slightly easier than I anticipated, maybe. And that could speak to my own kind of, the lack of self-belief perhaps that, I experienced. Yes. So, that could speak to that too. It's kind of hard to judge, but yeah, certainly all the support's there for you to find your role, Okay.
Great. So I think that is it, John. Thank you so much for your time. I really had a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for sharing your experiences as well.
Not at all.
You should have a great day. Have a lovely weekend. And then hopefully we will catch up again soon.
Thank you. Yeah. And thanks for the comments, guys. I saw a few of the comments. So yeah, nice to hear from you.
Yes. So before we end up, I just quickly want to go through a few things with you guys. We did get a lot of questions regarding the cost of the program as well. So the total cost of the program is going to be £8,395. We do have several payment options available, so you can pay in full and you receive a £700 fee reduction, or you can spread the payments over 6 or 9 months with no added fees. And then we also have a 24-month payment option through our partner StepX, and that can have payments for as low as £315 a month. So our next program intake is going to be the 14th of October. If we can just give a brief overview of the program itself, like we've already covered, there is career coaching involved, having access to your own personal career coach, helping you with your personal branding, helping you with interviews. You have the benefit of having an LSE certification, one of the top 30 global universities, also with an employer reputation of 93.1%, really ensuring that you stand out from the crowd. Then also, if we have a look at the portfolio that we spoke a little bit about, throughout the program, you'll be working on 4 projects. Your first 3 projects is going to be aligned with the 3 courses as part of the program. And then your 4th project is going to be what we refer to as the employer project. So that's really going to be your experience with a real company, a company like ThoughtWorks, Bank of England, Agent 3. And that's going to be to put you in a data analytics working environment to see how do you actually put these tools and skills into practice. And that's also going to be massive valuable experience that you can then add to your portfolio as well. Then just having a look at the structure of the program itself. The program is divided into 3 courses. Each one of these 3 courses is going to run for 6 weeks with a week break in between for goal setting and reflection. And then your last 6 weeks is going to be the employer project. And then also just coming back to the support that we offer, we also touched a little bit on this as well. We already mentioned the career coach. You will also have access to your very own dedicated student success coach. So they are going to provide you with that personalized mentorship and one-on-one support, but also to hold you accountable to reach your goals as well. Then obviously our course facilitators are industry experts. You guys will get some extra insights into current market trends and business challenges. But obviously these guys are also going to play a leading role in the projects that you are going to complete, providing you with some valuable guidance there as well. John also touched with his relationship with some of the past students. You can make use of that in our virtual learning environment. So that's going to be where you connect with the course materials. You can network with your fellow students. You can join virtual study groups, take part in online discussions as well. And yes, that is basically it, you guys. So if you would like to know more about the program, you can book a call with one of our enrollment advisors. We all specialize in the program. We'll be able to give you a detailed course overview. We'll be able to share with you stories of other successful learners as well, give you a little bit more detail on the employer project. And just, we are very eager to learn about your career goals and how we can assist you guys in moving forward. So book a call with your enrollment advisor. They're also going to guide you through the simple application process and take you through the whole process until we get you enrolled into the program. You can also download the brochure that is going to be in the chat. And I think this is definitely a great opportunity if you are looking to get your career started in data analytics, if you are looking to change your career, or if you are already working in the field, you're probably looking at a promotion or a higher paying role. This program is definitely something that can benefit you. So let's discuss this together. Let's work it out together and let's embark on this journey together. Thank you so much, you guys, and have a great day. Have a lovely weekend. And hopefully we will be catching up with some of you guys soon.